Good morning, students. Today we are going to start a new topic which is called as CSS positioning. Now the terms positioning means you can position your elements according to the units which you have given and according where you want exactly your element should be. Now when I say the word element, the element can be a paragraph, element can be an image, an element can be an audio file, or an element can be a video file. So these are various elements which can be positioned in various manners. So in CSS we can position them in four types. It can be a static positioning, or a relative positioning, or an absolute positioning, or a fixed positioning. Now when I say the word positioning, that means these four are values, and the term position or the property position take these four values. So your position can be relative, your position can be absolute, your position can be static, or your position can be fixed. So let's see one example, then you will understand it better. In this case, if you observe, what I have done is I have written one HTML program. Then it has a head, title, and we have used internal CSS property. Now please observe, in this internal CSS property, I have used a new property which is known as the position property. Now position is again a style property, just like you have text align, then text decoration. So similarly, position is a style property which take four values, which is absolute, fixed, relative, and static. So we are taking the example of absolute positioning. So if you see, we have defined the position as absolute. That means whenever H2 will get printed on the browser, before printing, it knows that my position is absolute. When he knows that my position is absolute, after that, whatever value we give to it, that means from left it will take 100 pixel, and from top it will take 150 pixel. So from left it will move from 100 pixel, and from top it will move down to 150 pixel. Now the point of intersection between these two will be the starting point of H2 content. I'll show you what I'm talking. So what I'll do, I'll first show you the output, then you will understand. So in the output, what I've done in the body part, in the body section, if you observe, I've given one BG color which is yellow. Because of that, the background will come in yellow color. And I have used two elements. One is H1, another one is H2. If you observe, H1 does not have any property, and H2 has a CSS property. So whatever property which is given, it will be applied only to H2, not to H1. So just to show on which content the property is getting applied and on which content the property is not getting applied, I have taken two elements. Okay. So what we are supposed to do now, we're supposed to save this. Okay. Where we will save it? We will save it on desktop. We'll create a new folder. We'll name this folder as HTML demo. Okay. And this we'll save it as absolute.html, and we'll save the file type as all files. So the file is saved. Now we'll observe the output first, then we will come to the discussion. So I've gone to the folder. This is absolute, it's an HTML file. I'll right click on it. I'll open it with Google Chrome. Now see, observe the properties. The first one is the H1, which does not have any CSS property. So this heading does not have any CSS property. Okay. And the second one is an H2. Heading spelling has gone wrong in this part. Okay, so in second one, this is the H2 part. Now this has a CSS property. Now if you observe, this is not in a default left position. It has left some space. It has left some space from the left hand side and from the top. So if you observe from here to here, I'm moving my cursor here. Okay, so if you observe from here to here, the space is 100 pixel. From here to here, the space is 100 pixel, and from here to here, the space is 150 pixel. That means from the top, it is leaving 150 pixel and it is coming down here, and from left, it is leaving 100 pixel and it is coming here. So whatever is the intersection point of these two lines, that will be the beginning point of your content. So this is known as absolute positioning. Now, how to check that it is positioned as absolute? You can do one thing. You can minimize the screen. Now, when I say minimize the screen means it is in the tab. Now, right now the display setting is according to the tab. Okay. Now, please observe when I have not given any property to the first heading. When I am not given property to the first heading, when I am shrinking the browser screen, it is now, right now, whatever is the display you see, it's a tab display, okay, a bigger display. Now when I'm shrinking the browser screen, you see what happens. The property word, the last position property word gets shifted down. I'll show you. See, if you observe, see the property word is getting shifted down because H1 does not have any property. H1 does not have any property, and it is getting shifted according to the size of the screen. It is getting shifted according to the size of the screen. It is getting adjusted because it does not have any property. But H2, which has a absolute property, if you see, I'll drag it to the. See, if I try to drag it, it's not getting. See, now how much ever I move it, the heading property will not move from its place. Why? Because its position is absolute. Wherever you are, it will be absolutely fixed. No matter whatever is the screen size, it will be absolutely positioned there itself. It will be absolutely positioned. I'm using the word absolutely again and again just to make you understand that whatever value you give here, whatever value you give here, that is the final value of this content. That is the final value of this content. Okay, change the spelling of the heading first. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll try to put the absolute position to H1 also. So you have learnt in grouping selector, if I want to give the same property to two elements, so what I'll do, I'll just put a comma here and I'll write H1 here. So what will happen? Both H1 and H2 will get a position absolute and with a uh, left shifting of 100 pixel and top shifting of 150 pixel. So these both properties will be implemented to these two elements. Okay, what I'll do, I'll save it and I'll reload the page. Now how I'll reload the page? First I'll show you the full screen mode. This is the full screen mode. Okay, and I'll reload the page. Now if you see, since I have given the same property to both the headings, what has happened is the content has got overlapped on each other. If you observe, content has got overlapped on each other. Now this is one thing, that if you give the same property to both the elements will get overlapped on each other because both of them have a left shifting of 100 pixel that they have done and top shifting of 150 pixel. So your H2 was already there, but when I have given the same property to H1 has come down to H2's position and it is getting overlapped. Now this is one thing which you want to observe, and the second thing which you want to observe is what happens when we shrink the screen. Okay, so please observe here. Please observe. Okay, so this is the content without moving. What happens? I'll shrink the screen. I'll shrink it again, shrink. Now once I reach here, after this, if I try to push the screen, the property word goes down, and after this I try to push the screen, the position word goes down, and this is the final shrinking we can do. From the top, if you want to shrink it, you'll see what happens. Now see, from the top, if you are shrinking, your scroll bar is getting activated. Okay, scroll bar is getting activated, but the position is not getting shifted. The position is not getting shifted. It is still there at the first line is still there. First line is still there at 150 pixel. Sorry, left 150 pixel and left 100 pixel and top 150 pixel. Okay, so that is where you need to understand that when a position is given as absolute, it takes the exact value which you mentioned on the screen and it position itself to the exact value. Okay, now what we'll do, we'll take a next example. Now we'll move to the next part. We have seen absolute. Now we'll see the next is static position. Okay, we need to see what is static position. First, read the statement what is given. The HTML elements are static by default. That means you don't have to specify any position as static. It becomes static by default. Okay. Now, static position elements are not affected by top, bottom, left, right purpose. So, if a position is static, so it can always move according to the normal flow. That means, if in the last case, if I remove this and I only give the property to h2, the h1 is by default is a static position because we have not mentioned the position of h1. We have not mentioned the position of h1. Let's go down. We have not mentioned the position of h1. So what will happen if you see this was the first output. So in this case, the h1 is by default static and h2 is by default absolute. Not by default, we have positioned it as absolute. We have mentioned it as absolute. Okay. So that is the difference. The static is the default position of your element. You don't have to specify anything as static. Okay. Now we will have something else. We'll take the next example of what is an relative positioning. Okay, what is a relative positioning? That's also an interesting thing which you need to observe. Now, relative means you are standing in relation to your normal position. Please read the definition. A relative position means a position is relative to its normal position. So, setting the top, setting the right, setting the bottom and left properties of a relative position element will cause to be adjusted away from its normal position. Other content will not be adjusted to fit into the gap left by the element. Now, in this statement, you need to first break down and then you need to understand. Okay. Now, first we'll take an example. Okay. What we'll do, we change this to relative, or else we will take one more this thing h3. Okay, we'll take one more h3 and we'll mention it as this is heading with relative position property. Okay, this is the heading with relative position property, and this will write this is the heading with absolute position property. Okay, now if you observe, I'm not given any property right now, but still you will see what exactly where exactly the h3 comes without the property. You need to see that first. See, this is the default position of h3 because we have not given any property, but we have only written that this is a heading with relative. We have to give a property to h3. So what we will do here, we will write here as h3 Okay. Now this time we will again write the style property, which is the style property. Name the style property is position. Okay. And we will write here as a relative. So once we write here as relative, then we give the relative positions also. So let's say we give the relative position as left is equal to 20 pixels. Left is equal to 20 pixels if we give. Left is equal to 20 pixels. Okay. And top we will give as 100 pixels. Okay. And we'll close the curly bracket. Save it. Now first observe the last. This was the last output without the property. This was the last output without the property. Now once I reload this page, see what has happened. It has moved and covered the 150 pixel your absolute position property, and from left if you observe, a little bit space is given. Now this space is the 20 pixel space, and this is not the 100 pixel from here, not from the edge. It is from the immediate content which is there. Which is the immediate content? This is the immediate content. Okay, from the top if I say this is the immediate content. Now from this content, please observe, from this content it is counting 100 pixel bottom. From this content it is counting 100 pixel bottom, and then it is coming down accordingly. Now this overlapping is not happening because of the same position values. This overlapping is happening because your last position property was absolute, which has from the top 150, and it has a position property from the top 100 pixels. So it is just 100 and 150, that is why it is just overlapping. So if you want to bring it down, what I'll do, I'll make this as 150 pixel. I'll make this as 150 pixel, or we'll make it as 200 pixel, and you will see what will happen. I'll tell you. First I'll tell you, then you will see. You will see this will remain as the first content. Whichever I'm highlighting, you see that order. This will remain as the first content. Okay. Now, because of the position, this will be the second one, and because of the relative position of 200 pixels from the top, this will be the third one. So it will be automatically arranged. Now if you see, now you will observe what is happening. This is the first line, the first line, this is the first line. This is without any property. The second line is with absolute property. What is the absolute property? From the left, from the left, from the left it is 100 pixel, and from the top, this is the top of where my Gmail is blinking just below that. From here it is 150. So that is the intersection point of this. Okay. Now this is the third content, which has got a relative property, Okay. Now relative property is this. So see here, from the left it is 20 pixel, and from this content, which is the without the property, from here it is counting as 200 pixel. That is what is coming down. Okay. Now how you will come to know that it is taking the reference from the top? How you will come to know that it is taking the reference from the top? Okay. So what we'll do, we'll try to shift our h1 a little below, without anything, without giving any property. What we will do, we'll just write here as just observe h1. We'll shift it down a little bit, and if you shift it down, you will see H3 is also getting shifted down. Let's see what happens or not. Top will make it as 50 pixels. Okay, and that's it. Let's see what happens or not. Because okay, now this was the last property. Once I move this one down to 50 pixels, this will also move down. That is what the logic says. Is it happening? Is it happening? Top 50 pixel are given. Is it happening? Let's see. No, it is not happening. What is the reason? The reason is you are trying to shift it below top 50 pixel. Yes, top 50 pixel. If you want to shift it below, you have to give it a certain position type. So let's say we give this top as position type as absolute. This top position will give the type value as absolute. Okay, and we'll put a semicolon and we'll save this. Now try to run it. See what has happened. I'll again show you. Yeah, I'll remove this. I'll save this. Reload. Now see, this is a heading without a position property. That is same. We are trying to give the top as 50 pixel. We wanted to bring that first content down to 50 pixel, but it is not happening. After that, what I've done, I've made the first property as absolute. Okay, then I've saved the file. Now observe. This is the last output. Now once I reload the page, this will come down. This will come down. See, it has come down, and ultimately this also has moved up. This also have moved up. This also have moved up. Now this you need to understand that it is taking the relative position. Relative position of what? Relative position of the content which is here. The content which is here, from here to here it is taking as 100 pixels. From here to here it is taking as 100 pixels. So since this has already covered the 50 pixel, this has already covered the 50 pixel. Now it is also moving ahead to cover its own 50 pixel. Now the total distance between these two, should be 100 pixel. Okay, the total distance between these two is 100 pixels. So if you are changing this position will also move up. If you are changing this position will also move up. If we bring it down, it will move up because it will try to cover the rest of the gap. Now you need to understand from where the gap is getting calculated. The gap is getting calculated from this. Let me highlight it till this. Okay, so this distance is you need to see. Okay, 50 it has already covered. Okay, it was actually 200 pixel. If you just observe, in our case, the position relative was 200 pixel. Okay, 200 pixel. Now see, I have brought this down to 50, and this remaining is 150 pixels. So that's what it has moved up to cover that remaining distance of 200 pixel. Now this is relative. Now we have to see how it looks like when we are shrinking the screen. Okay, That is also very important because these positions cannot be observed unless and until you shrink the screen. Observe, this is the tab property. Once I move this, once I move this, see, the P also got shifted. P also got shifted, but the position, relative position is still there. It is not getting shifted. And from the bottom, if I push it, from the bottom, if I try to push it smaller and smaller, see, nobody is getting shifted anywhere. They are there itself. They are there itself. They are there only. No matter you shift your screen to whichever position, they will not change their place. They will not change their place. Okay. So this is, you need to understand that this is basically a position which is getting a value, a position which is getting a value, and it is getting a type of value. For example, if my position type is absolute, and I mean with respect to absolute, I'm taking a left 100 and top 150. Now in that case, I will utilize my these values with that property. I will maintain the property rules that I belong to absolute property, so I have to maintain the absolute rules. Then if my position is set as relative and then it is given as left 150 and top 300, then I need to maintain that property value. What I'll do, I'll take some more examples. Okay, because this is very important. Now let's say I make this as relative. I need to explore everything. I make this as relative. That is the first content. And I reload the page. And I reload the page. Let's see what has happened. 50 pixels from the top. Okay. Now does this has any reference from where it can count the 50 pixel? No. So immediately what it has done, it has counted the 50 pixel from the edge of this where I'm moving my mouse. From here it has come down to 50 pixel. Okay. And this absolute position is getting counted from where? This absolute position is counted from here to here. That we all know. Okay. But what about this? Now it is counting from which position? Is it counting from here to here or is it counting from here to here? Because in this case now both are relative. Both are relative to each other. Both are relative to each other. You will see. We'll make this 50 pixel to 100 pixel. We'll try to shift it down as and you will see the values. Whether it is getting overlapped at some point or not. If it gets overlapped, that means the reference is not getting taken. Now see, I brought it down to 100 pixels. The absolute position value is there only, it is not shifting. Now it has from here to here, it has come down to 100 pixels. And this is still 200 pixels. Okay, I'll make it 200 pixels. Let's see what happens. Whenever you are giving any relative position, you'll see, try to explore it. Now it has come to 200 pixels. Now it has come to 200 pixels. From here it is taking the reference. Now it is from here it is taking the reference. Okay. From here it is because there is no other content above this. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll add one content above this without any property. The first line. Observe this. The first line was H1. Before H1 it was nothing. So now I'll try to add one H4 here. This is the first heading. Okay. I'll close H4 and I'll save it. This. Please observe. Again, I'll show you. Deleted. Save. Observe this position. Observe this position. It has moved up because it is counting 200 pixels from here. The moment I add one text here, it will start counting from here to here. It will come down. I'll show you it will come down. I'll go back to the code. Hit a control there. This is the last one. Now you need to observe very carefully what is the output. This is the last output without the heading, without the first heading. Now once I once I put the heading, what you will observe, this will come down. And when it comes down, that means you will understand that it is taking the reference from the first line now. See, the first line has come and this has come down. Now the 200 pixels is counted from this line till this line. Sorry, this should not be getting highlighted. Highlight it and then I'll show you. From this line till this, it is 200 pixels. Okay. Now you will ask me, sir, what about this, which has a relative position with the heading of this? Now you need to see what is its reference point. What is its reference point? Its reference point is this. The immediate content is H2. So H3 is getting reference from this. Okay. So what, according to this, H3 has got 200 pixels. H3 has got 200 pixels. So do you think it is exactly the 200 pixels? Now you need to tell me from where this 200 pixel is getting calculated. Now tell me in the sense if I'm just projecting it, so I'll give you the answer. Observe what are the properties you are given. You are given H1 from the top 200, okay, H3 from the top 200, okay. So now H1 is taking a reference from H4, that is, it is getting positioned according to H4. Wherever H4 is there, from there it will take. But what about H3? What about H3? H3 will take the property from where? H3 will take the property from where? H3 will take the property from this. Observe, this is 100 pixel distance. It is 50 pixel distance. It is 50 pixel distance and this is 150 pixel distance. So if you add the distance between this and this point, this and this point, it becomes 200 pixels from the top. From the top, it becomes 200 pixels. So the question is, if this goes up, this will go down, because when this goes up, that means it is we are reducing the distance, right? We are reducing it to 100. This will go down. I'll show you. But all in all, it should be 200 pixel gap. Okay. This was the example. We'll bring this content to 100 pixels. See, this has gone up. This has gone up. This is moving up. The distance remains same. The distance remains same. The distance remains same. It is moving up. Total distance was from here to here, it was 150. I moved up. Now it is 100 pixels. But still, this is 100, and from here it is 100. So all in all, it is positioned exactly at top 200 pixels. But what about this case? Since it has got a reference point. What is the reference point of this? Immediate content kaun sa hai? Immediate content, if you observe, immediate content is H4. H4 will take the H1 will take the reference from H4. Wherever H4 is there, from there it will count. Okay. So this is basically relative positioning. Now we will take some example of a fixed positioning. Okay, we'll take an example of fixed positioning. What I'll do, I'll take one more paragraph and I'll change the property to some other color. Okay, and we'll give it to ID. I hope you remember what is an ID. Okay, take font H1. Okay, give ID. And go to the ID can be, and we'll give the ID as color head. Okay, give the ID as color head. Just the name, and we'll say this is a heading with fixed property. Okay, this is a heading with fixed property. This is H1. Since we are given one ID, we can style it according to this ID. Okay, if we style only to this, then the property will get, the values will get implemented only to this H1, not to this H1. I hope you people remember that it will only style the ID. Okay, so I have to style the ID. What I'll do, I will come down here. I write here as hash, and what is the name of the ID? It is color head. Okay, and then I'll go down to the next line, and I'll first give a color, different color, so that it is visible. Which color we will give? Color red. Okay, and we will close this, and first we will see whether it is getting a different color or not. See, this is the heading with fixed property. This is the heading with fixed property. Okay, now you need to understand that it is getting the property of H1 also, and the color head also. It is getting the color from this ID, and it is taking the H1 property. But I just want maybe my H1 to work as this. What I'll do, I'll change this to, now there is a difference between, see, if I am giving an ID, it is taking both the properties. So what I'll do, I'll change it to class. See what I'll do. I'll change this to class, and here I'll put a dot. Okay, so you need to understand that you have to give, you want to give a fixed property to this. Okay, so the best thing we can do is, right now for understanding purpose, we'll change it to H6. We'll change it to H6 or H5 probably. Okay, we'll save this. Now see, this is H5. This is H5. Okay, for the better understanding, what I'll do, I'll put a border around it. Okay, and put a border around it. Where are the border? We'll put a solid border. I'll put a solid border, and I'll reload the page. So now you're getting a solid border. You're getting it right. Now we really want to make this position as fixed. We want to make this position as fixed. So for that, we have to use the position as fixed position. That is very important. But we have to give the position value as fixed and then see what happens. Okay. So we'll quickly change the code accordingly. We'll write the position as fixed. give the position from left. It should be 50 pixels. Okay, and from top, we should bring it down to, let's say, 300 pixels. Okay, now save this and reload the page. If this position has become fixed position, okay. Now how to check whether it's a fixed position? How to check whether it's a fixed position? You see this. This is the browser. This is a browser. See the position. No matter contents are shifting down, it will not shift. It will not shift anywhere. The position is fixed. It will not shift anywhere, no matter how much you try to move it up and down. See, your browser contents, this you can see, but the fixed position is fixed. See, you cannot see the content now. Please understand, the fixed position means, I'll give you this example on the screen. A fixed position basically means whichever position you have given, no matter your browser screen is getting smaller, bigger, whatever, it will not change this position. Now, if your browser screen is smaller than the position which you have given, then the content will not be seen. The content will be below the border of the browser. Okay, so that is basically fixed position. We'll see the definition first. An element with position fixed is position relative to the viewport, which means it always stays at the same place even if the page is scrolled. Okay, it always stays. The top, bottom, right properties are used to position the element. Fixed element does not leave a gap in pages where it would normally would have been located. Okay, it does not leave a gap means, with this example you need to understand. This was the biggest size of your display right now, 15-inch monitor. Now once I try to bring it to this size. Okay, if I try to bring it to this size, just observe the red box. This is still there, visible. Okay, I'm just reducing the size of the browser. See, okay. Now see, if I'm scrolling down, you can see this is the heading property. It is there, but your red color content. See the red color content. Do you observe? The red color content is fixed. No matter how much you scroll your screen, the red color content will not move. You bring it down some more, and then you will understand. Right now it is 300 pixels, right? We make it to 900 pixels, and this is out. We bring it down to the lowermost corner, and then we will observe. Okay, 900 pixels will go. See, it is gone. It is gone out of your browser screen. It is there somewhere, but you will not be able to see. Okay, 900 will brought to 750. Still, it is not there. 150 can be got to 600. Still it is not there. 500 it has come up. Okay, 500 it has come up. Now what we will do, we'll try to shift this to extreme right. We'll try to shift this to extreme right. Right now we have given to 50 pixels. We'll give it to 350 pixels. Let's see how far it moves. If it goes out of the screen, then you have to bring it back. 350 pixels, it has moved a little bit here there. Okay, then we'll move it to directly 800 pixels. Okay, some more we'll try to move it. 950 will make it. I will make it to 1000. Okay, so once I make it to 1000, so now it is somewhere here. Now see the position. This is very interesting part. Can you see the content? Right now, only you can see one red box is coming at the edge. Okay. Now you can see the content. Yes, you can see the content. But once I reduce the screen, it won't be able to see it, and it will not come in the scroll section also because the position is fixed. The content has gone. The position is fixed. The position is fixed. So, according to the size of the screen, your fixed position will not move according to the size of the screen. It will not adjust itself. Once it is fixed, it will remain there no matter you increase the size or you decrease. Once I increase the size, you can see the red box. But once I decrease the size, you are not able to see the red box. So this is what basically the position means. Okay. Now you need to practice some more, and we'll discuss it in the next lecture some more. So this is basically a positioning. We have almost discussed all the four types, and then in the next lecture we will take the next topic. Okay. So if you have any doubts, you can just connect with me. Okay.